Well, good afternoon, it's Adil Fazal here, market analyst at cfds.com, bringing you a video of European markets, a afternoon, or shall we say morning, post-morning trading session update. Okay, mid-session update, shall we say. Okay, so please be sure to visit the specialist in spread betting and CFD brokerage, the cfds.com website. Alternatively, visit the educational site, which is www.cfds.education. Okay, let's start. Okay, in terms of Asian markets higher overnight, even though we had the BOJ obviously on hold. Okay, the market still interpreted that as being bullish for some strange reason. Okay, now we also had weak import and export data out of Japan. Again, markets have interpreted that as being bullish. Again, very strange. Okay, we also had weaker Chinese data out overnight. Again, markets have interpreted that as being bullish. Again, very strange. The FOMC minutes were slightly, well, not as hawkish as everybody expected, but still hawkish nevertheless. It did lead a short squeeze in the Euro and the Aussie and the Kiwi, and that certainly will continue from my perspective, but given the fact that we have had weaker US jobs data as well. Now, European markets. The European markets basically have continued higher. Basically, we had Mr. B.O.B. Broadbent hawkish yesterday. The FTSE totally ignored that. We had Royal Mail profits down by I think 30%, yet the markets totally chose to ignore that and focus on the cost-cutting exercise instead. Now, in terms of additional, I mean, we had Lockhart, Mester, Kaplan, all obviously bearish. We had Granger, the company called Granger, certainly down as well. What other bearish arguments can I think of at present? Okay, yes, we had comments from Mr. Wu, bearish comments on China. Obviously weaker Chinese data. Yep, the Euro USD certainly rallied up to 1.07. So again, that certainly is a bearish argument. Obviously terrorism concerns the background. We have BHP compensation claims as well. CBI data weak. We've had retail sales weak. So certainly out of the European session. In terms of this bullish arguments, you've had obviously Asian markets higher, US markets higher. ThyssenKrupp raises its dividend, Investec higher, Johnson Matthey higher, Mothercare higher. And obviously we've had, is it Best Buy? Best Buy, I think, good earnings from out the US. So there have been numerous, obviously, arguments for the downside, especially with regards to French CAC. Now that certainly has failed to transpire, really, and European markets certainly have pushed lower. But it's all about that Euro USD. It seems to be hovering around that 1.07, even with the minutes from the actual ECB. Yet the Euro still hovering around that 1.06 level. Okay, so US markets are going to be crucial, and we shall see. So far, I mean, the US markets certainly have short squeezed higher overnight as well. The S&P certainly has short squeezed higher. So we shall see how the markets are interpreting it thus far. Given the fact that the DAX has broken out, it's very, very bullish. Now, let me just bring up the chart of the German DAX itself. Regardless of how you interpret the news, a price action is telling you something else. Now, if I bring up the chart of the German DAX, once I find it. Okay, this is the FTSE 100. Now let me just bring up the European indices 1 second. Very, very impressive thus far. In terms of indices itself, FTSE is up by 1%, DAX is up by 1.3%, the CAC is up by 0.5%. So very, very impressive. Okay, so bring up the chart of the German DAX, and that should basically explain and show all. You can see that the German DAX on the daily chart has broken out, okay, and certainly wants to target the gap fill at 11,300. If we go to the weekly chart, you can see that you've had a clean breakout on the weekly chart. We've negated last week's bearish candle, so the terrorism concerns, Volkswagen concerns, etc., all been negated, and the markets certainly have pushed higher regardless. So very, very impressive thus far. 60-minute chart of the DAX, we are retesting that breakout level at present, and we shall see whether or not we can sustain this rally. Given the fact that we do have an unfilled gap below, the markets totally are oblivious to that, totally have chosen to ignore it thus far, okay, and certainly are attempting to push higher based on this expectations of QE, or basically the hawkish or the monetary policy divergence between the two markets, obviously the Fed and the ECB, okay. Now, the alternative indices we're going to watch out or observe today are going to be the CAC, as always. So the daily chart itself broken out of that, so bullish breakout of the pivot high of the green candle, and you can see this candle was on the 17th of November, so certainly attempting to push higher, although it has been weaker than the rest. Okay, so it certainly has attempted to close that gap below. You can clearly see there's a gap here that the French CAC has attempted to target. The 10-minute chart certainly, as you can see, putting a double top and has obviously weakened ever since. Okay, and again, you have gap fill support very nearby. Again, there are multiple gaps below, and it's all about terrorism concerns in France. I did attempt to short the CAC twice, but I bailed out because of the rally in the Nasdaq and alternative indices, especially the FTSE 100. Bringing up the chart of the Eurostoxx now. Again, this looks like it wants to attempt to close the gap below on the 10-minute chart and the daily chart itself, with potential topping tail near that 200 MA resistance. 10-minute chart, again, like I said, wants to attempt to close the gap below. 60-minute chart, again, retesting the pivot low of today and retesting that breakout level as we observed here. So again, this is going to be good support. We did attempt to penetrate this level at 3476. Obviously, we failed, and the market obviously has certainly pushed back ever since. Okay, so again, this is going to be interesting as to how this trades in the next few hours. Very, very interesting, folks. Okay, now again, it's all about the German Dax breaking out, so all eyes on the German Dax. The FTSE 100, again, very, very bullish on, as you can see in the 60-minute chart. If I bring up the daily chart of the FTSE 100, you can still see that we've attempted to pace the 75%. We have failed thus far, but the weekly chart very, very bearish, very, very bullish, should I say? Because we've actually at one point we negated the red candle. The upper body of the red candle was 6350. We've hit a pivot high of 6370. So very, very well, 6368 to be precise. So very, very bullish, as you can see here. Pivot high 6366, and then obviously we reversed ever since. 60-minute chart, again, we're retesting that breakout level, so previous resistance equals support now on the FTSE 100 going forward. So this is going to be interesting how the markets react at this juncture. Again, the 10-minute chart, we are retracing thus far, and it will be interesting to observe this retracement. Given the fact that oil is now retesting that $40 level, it will be very interesting. I did have a short on the Nasdaq. I got stopped out. I've retaken the long now. I've switched my bias, given the fact that my analysis was wrong, and I am looking for a move higher on the Nasdaq itself, given the fact that the German Dax has obviously broken out at present. Again, it's all about the Euro USD. So all eyes on the Euro USD, and that will be the reaction. But in terms of the FTSE 100, we have the mining sector, certainly very, very bullish at present. If I had to bring up the chart of the mining sector, again, I underestimate the mining sector's strength today. Actually, I don't have it on here, unfortunately, but I underestimate the mining sector's strength again today. And the FTSE 100 was certainly very stellar. Again, all eyes on the German Dax, whether or not we can obviously hold this previous resistance equals support zone and continue to break higher. Okay, folks, I think that's a wrap in terms of the European market analysis. On to the US session, and that will dictate the next move. Be sure to visit cfds.com for your trading needs. Goodbye now.